Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs, the Zoom version. My name again is Jeffrey Davis. I'm the host of Radio Entrepreneurs. I've been doing this for many years, part-time as a hobby, and we have interviewed over 6,000 entrepreneurs and leaders. But nothing has changed more than COVID-19 for talking about how people are adapting to this economy. And I'm looking forward to talking to our next guest, and that's Adam Beal, CEO of Awayr. Welcome, Adam.
Morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Why don't you tell us about Awayr?
Sure. So Awayr is a Cambridge-based startup. We build software for automotive and aerospace. We help them to model how people will interact with machines in ways that today you'd have to do human studies and prototyping. So in other words, we're trying to make it faster, cheaper, easier for manufacturers to build complex interfaces and making those safer for the end users, aka the driving public and the pilots who fly.
Well, that's pretty high-end stuff. How did you get into this?
Well, I'd always kind of been drawn to the intersection of technology and business, and started off training to be a microbiologist, but ended up working in business and entrepreneurship most of my career. And I reconnected with an old friend, Dr. Ben Sawyer, when I moved to Boston in 2018 to help launch the Air Force Accelerator. So when I finished that role and when he was finishing up his postdoc, we started looking at some opportunities in the market where we thought we could bring some unique kind of solutions, and that's what we did.
So how is the pandemic changed your business or business model at all?
I don't think the pandemic has helped most entrepreneurs, but I would say it hasn't changed things dramatically for us, just because we were mostly remote before. And the type of stuff that we're building has a long kind of development horizon, and our stakeholders have a long view also. So I'd say in general, COVID hasn't really changed those factors too much.
So who are the traditional buyers of your type of business?
So basically, we're building enterprise software for large manufacturing enterprises. So if you look at a car company building a car, it takes about 5 years to build a car. So something like COVID could happen in the middle, but for the most part, it's not going to change, kind of your building plan. And also with aerospace, kind of the same thing, even longer time horizons. So these things are fairly resilient to kind of general ups and downs in the market.
Well, those are the two industries that were popping into my head before you started. But recently I've heard that companies like General Motors have been able to knock 2 years off their developmental time. Is that a result of something, the type of work that you would do?
Potentially. I can't speak to that specific example because I just haven't read that story. But I mean, a company can make their development time whatever they want it to be, but we're basically giving companies the ability to do more testing in whatever time frame they've got to build.
So is yours a very competitive field that you're in?
It is. So the HMI market, as we call it, the human machine interface market, is a kind of a fairly small subset of the larger automotive market, but it's still a decent sized market in itself. I believe it's about 30 to 40 billion now, and it's growing at probably 15% a year. And so a lot of the vehicle prices and the profitability and the sales numbers for specific vehicles is due to new features and kind of gizmos inside the car. And so there's a lot of big companies, a lot of big players competing to kind of own the inside of your vehicle. And so we're kind of vying for a piece of that, but we're a little bit different in the sense that we're not building the stuff that's going to go into your car. We're building the tools that are going to be used by the people who build that stuff for you. So we think we're kind of uniquely positioned because we're more of an enabler than kind of a direct competitor in that space.
Well, I like it that you mentioned differentiate. So how do you differentiate from your competition, since it is a crowded field?
Well, there's really no direct competition because what we built is a very new capability. Not to say that there aren't competitors, because there always are, but so car companies today, they use software to design the inside of your car, but they don't have a lot of insights into how safe or easy to use the controls they put inside your car will be. So including all the buttons, levers, touch screens, all those types of things. And so what we're able to do is using just a computer in kind of the design tool chain that they're already using, as they're designing your car's interior, we can give them some of those insights into how difficult it will be to use something, how distracting it's going to be. They can use that feedback to quickly improve. And so the idea is you get more iteration throughout your design program earlier on, and you get so much cheaper. Today, those kind of insights, to get them, you have to build a car, you have to retrofit it with a bunch of cameras and sensors, and you have to have some scientists lead a study to have people drive around and use that feedback to improve. We're providing that same type of feedback without the scientists, without the car.
Do you have a long purchase cycle? I would think, since you're a big corporate purchase, that you may have a big RFP that takes a while to go from initial contact to closing a deal.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's something that you have to account for. We've kind of always felt from the beginning that we would not have the typical sales cycle, and that's just because we're really kind of networked into the whole automotive industry. So I used to work for GM a while back, used to be a dealership owner before that, and Ben has been a consultant for most of the world's car companies for 10 years. So just having a network doesn't mean that your sales cycle goes to zero, but it does play a significant role in kind of reducing how long it takes to make connections and make sales.
Is there I don't want to get you in trouble by picking favorite children, but are there certain automotive companies that are easier to deal with than others, or is it also based upon, let's say, national geography? Is there a difference by country?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. You see some general trends by country, and some of that is kind of competitive driven, some of it's kind of culturally driven. But in general, the automotive industry is fairly conservative. It's one where most of the time incremental improvement is chosen over kind of disruptive change. So in general, for a company like us, we're looking for early adopters, and so you want to look at who's taking more chances with their interface technology, who's kind of more ambitious in terms of using that component of the car as a differentiator. And so even though eventually we'd love to sell this to every car company in the world, in the early stages, we're kind of looking at companies that are, taking more chances, willing to try something different.
Great. If somebody's, we're speaking with Adam Beal, CEO of Awayr. Adam, if someone were looking for Awayr, how would they find the company?
The best way to find us is visit our website at awayrai.com, or they can always shoot an email at info@awayrai.com.
Well, one more thing before you go. Tease us a little bit. What are we going to look for in terms of some new interfaces in the next couple of years?
Well, you can kind of see some of it in the concept cars and some of the different advertisements out there, things like heads-up display, gesture control. And, part of what we're doing is trying to really enable those ambitious designs of the future, because even though, a company can build a concept car that does all this cool stuff, it's rare that you're going to see it on the road, and there's always going to be this long gap between what's possible and what can be built. So we're hoping that, through providing a better and faster testing capability, that you'll see more of that cool futuristic stuff in your next car.
Thanks for being on the show again today. Remind everybody, this is Radio Entrepreneurs.